Use code TATE10 for 10% off any exclusive Andrew Tate canvas on whitepath.com.
What the fuck are you waiting for?
I just want to say one more thing quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
The War Room guys last night, we were talking about all this kind of stuff. They were talking about frame, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And we were doing inside the War Room, we have different sections, but we're doing a PhD mindset. And I was explaining how in the world we live in today, very few things men say are said adamantly. We live in a world where men say things, but they don't say them adamantly. They don't say them and they don't mean them. Mm-hmm. So when you say things you mean in the current world we live in, it almost makes you a hypnotist, because a beautiful woman's never had that. A beautiful woman's never had a man say something to her and mean it. So one of the guys go, "Can you give me an example?" And this is one of the examples I give. One of my girlfriends hated one of my other girlfriends. I had these two girls. I was sleeping with them both. One of the girls hated the chick. "I hate her. She's a bitch. She's a bimbo. She's always writing this on Instagram, blah, 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 blah." And I sat there and I said, "The only reason you talk about her all the time and watch all her stories and you're obsessed with her is because you want to fuck her." She's like, "What? No, I don't. I hate that bitch." I was like, "Look, all you do is talk about her. All you do is watch her stories. You're obsessed with her. You want to fuck her. You don't even know it. You think I don't know the game? I know I know you want to fuck her. I've seen this a million times before. You're obsessed with her." And I said it so adamantly. I mean, a couple of weeks I repeated it. Every time she insulted the girl, I was like, "You want to fuck her. You're desperate. I know she's what you think about." And it's like a hypnotist. Mm-hmm. I said it so adamantly. When I was fucking them both a month later, I almost burst out laughing. I knew this shit was going to happen. It's like, because you just adamantly state. And women, if you can adamantly state things and stick to your guns, you can become a fucking magician, because they never had that before in their lives. They never had a man come along and say, "No, this." Yeah. And what can they do? They can either leave or comply. Some will leave, some will comply. It's as simple as that. And people say to me, "Tate's lying. How does he have all these girls? How they're not loyal to him? They must be cheating." Blah, blah, blah. Like, they're really not. I'm not a fucking liar. None of my girls are fucking any other dude. They're all with me. They all know I cheat. Because the ones who weren't compliant, the ones who wouldn't play the game, got kicked out long ago. So it's just the way it is. Like, and if you don't believe me, that's completely up to you. But the fact they're all making me millions of dollars might be proof enough.
Yeah.
What the fuck more do you want? But that's my point. Men don't say anything adamantly. They don't even stick to their guns anymore. And if you do that, you can become a magician in the modern world. And people come to me and go, "What do I have to do to get laid?" And I'm like, very little. Like, I don't do shit to get laid. And this is actually one of the problems I have.
It's part of your personality. That's why. For these guys, it's not part of their personality. They haven't, like, one of the things I've always said, and I know you're reading my book right now, but one thing I say in that book is that you need to internalize this. It needs to be part of your personality. And I think for you, because the way you were raised, I would say it's probably because your father raised you to be the way you are, from what I know of you. Yeah. It is who you are. It's you're naturally reptile. You are naturally that way, because and anything that's outside of that seems like, what the fuck are you talking about? How is this not obvious to you? Yeah.
This is it. Guys come to me and they go, "Well, how should I act?" Like when I've got guys who I train, they go, "How should I act?" And I say, "Why are you acting?" You're like, you have to act a certain way when a woman disrespects you. If a woman disrespects me, I haven't got to act shit, because I'm pissed off for real. I'll never talk to her again for real. Like, there's no act. Like, when you talk to me like I'm a dickhead, fine, I'll never reply to you again. And then she'll lose her mind because she's never had a guy ignore her. Mm-hmm. You know, but to me, it's not an act. They're coming along, "What do I do here? What do I do there?" You need to become the kind of person who doesn't take disrespect from females. Why are you going to take disrespect from people? Why are you going to have a woman live in your house, and if someone breaks into the house, you have to go downstairs and face an attacker who could have a fucking machine gun? You have to go down there as a man to protect her. But when you ask her for a cup of coffee, she's going to give you attitude. Mm-hmm. And you're going to accept that shit. You're going to sit there and go, "Oh, well, she's had a long day." I don't give a fuck how long your day is. Mm-hmm. I asked for coffee. I pay for this house. I'll risk my life to keep you alive. If you don't want to make me a cup of coffee, that's perfectly fine. Pack a fucking bag. Mm-hmm. Get out. And people go, "You're crazy. You're out of your mind." I've had that exact situation happen to me, and girls go to me, "You're fucking crazy. You're crazy." I'm like, "Bitch, get the fuck out. You're crazy. You're the most crazy." And they'll leave, and then they'll be texting me for fucking months. The crazy man. Then they want the crazy man back.
Then they want the crazy back. Yeah.
I'll make the coffee. I'm sorry. I just didn't like the way you said it. Your tone. Bitch, I talk to you in any tone I fucking want. It's my house. And that's not an act. It's not about being an act. It's just who I am as a person. I'm not a mean person. I'm a nice guy. But there's boundaries and limits, and I have my view of the world, and you comply to my view of the world, or you get replaced.
I think that's really sort of like, that throws off a lot of guys, because a lot of guys, particularly I would say in the last like 3 to 4 generations, because at least in Western culture, they have been feminized and have been brought up in a feminine primary social order that convinces them that they have to be in touch with their feminine side. They have to, like, it's bad for you to be masculine. It's like, it's what I call gender loathing. It's for these guys. And so you've got these guys, and people wonder why there's this generation of Lost Boys that are coming to me, to you, to Jordan Peterson, to who, anybody else. Why is there such a mass of these guys? And why isn't it obvious? Like for you, because of the way you were raised, because of who you are, you've already internalized this stuff. And so like one of the things I run into, when I'm talking with guys, or I'm, like if I'm interacting with them, like say in my comments on my blog or something, guys will say, how is this a question? How are these guys don't even see this? Don't these guys know? And women will ask me too. They'll say, don't these guys know that they're being pussies? Don't they know that they're, and it's like, no, they really don't, because they've never had that education. It's never become part of who they are. And so like when people tell me, like they'll say, well, I really pity Rollo because, he's married and he has to game his wife all the time. And it's like, no, I don't game my wife. I am the game. I understand that it's taken root. It's part of my reflexive personality to pass a shit test, to do it. I don't sit there and like go back to my book and go, what did I write about that?
Exactly. It's who you are.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. It has to become who you are, because if it's not who you are, you can only fake for so long until someone calls your bluff and you get checked. If you fake that you don't give a shit and then she walks out the door and you actually give a shit, game's up. And it doesn't matter how good you are with women. I've had women who I've told to fuck off and they've never texted me again, and I've lost them. You got to be prepared to lose to win.
Yep.
I use chess a lot because I'm a chess player.
Spinning plates.
Yep. An analogy. I've had loads of guys come to me and they tell me their sob story by email. And they're like, what should I do? I'm like, leave her. Like, oh, but I love her. I was like, in the situation you're in, the only chance you have of victory is it's like a queen sacrifice in chess. Maybe it'll all go wrong. Maybe it'll all go right. But if you don't do the queen sacrifice, you're going to sit there and it's going to be ground down and slowly pressured down and lose the game. You're going to lose the game and time's running out. So you better do something drastic now. She's talking to you like a dickhead, walk out the fucking door. Maybe you can shock her into compliance. But if you don't shock her into compliance, then it was always over. If you leaving is not enough to make her talk to you nicely, how long is she going to sit there until she sucks a new dick? Right. Like, are those few weeks really that much more important? Like, but people just ain't got the balls. They're not prepared to take the risk. I've lost loads of girls doing that shit. But the ones who stick around are absolutely and utterly compliant. And that's how you got to be. And this is another reason why I talk about how important it is to have numbers as a guy. Lots of guys are like, well, what if I just want one girlfriend? I was like, if you want one girlfriend, you better go fuck 20 chicks. And then you're going to end up with one good girlfriend. The world we live in now, like, I'm not saying you can't train any girl, but I'm saying some blueprints are better than others. So you need to go out there and you got to run the game a bit to find one that isn't a complete mess to begin with. Like, you're going to pick something. If you're going to fall in love with the first girl you bang, she might have a whole host of issues. Why are you dealing with that shit for? Like, you want to build a race car. You want to start with a Ferrari. You don't want to start with a fucking pedal bike. What's the point?